Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. And so today we're going to get started right on in with the news from Twitter first. Of course, Jack Dorsey suddenly just disapparated from Twitter, leaving the raving lunatic who was the CFO, who is pretty much, he's an interesting feller. Some old interesting tweets, but politically, he's in alignment with the people over there. So, his bad tweets won't hurt him. Just, bad tweets of another kind will hurt you. But the first thing that they did is they dropped the ban hammer on sharing private media without individual consent. This is an interesting one because, of course, a lot of your conservative media is saying that this has to do with stopping groups like, who is it? I forget which kind of Project Veritas, trying to stop guys like Project Veritas from reporting things. But I think that argument is extraordinarily flimsy. It might have more to do with the fact that a lot of people share photos and stuff on Twitter, and Twitter gets complaints from them. So I'm not saying that this is just a leftist move to silence conservative media necessarily. It could be, but that's what has been said. I think it might have a lot more to do with the fact that they had a lot of other cases. Like they had, for example, a case where somebody had literally posted some bad child images of that person, and the child says, "Hey, that's me, take that down." And they said, "Well, it doesn't violate our terms." That became a big thing and a big lawsuit for them not too long ago. I would wager this has a lot more to do with that than it does to do with Project Veritas or conservative media, because people on conservative media, what are you sharing your stuff on Twitter anywhere? It doesn't like you. But that is definitely an interesting story from Twitter. I'm going to dissent from the right-wing media on their idea. I just don't think it makes as much sense. So researchers developed a camera the size of a grain of salt. And you can kind of see here the guy's fingerprint with the camera on top of it. And this is a dangerous thing because, man, the things you could do with this kind of stuff. And what separates this camera out from several other cameras like it in the genre is that it's actually utilizes some software to sharpen the images. So we have some images here. So this one on the left is the prior state-of-the-art camera, which was just developed about 3 years ago. And this is this new camera. It uses AI to reassemble the image together in a lot better configuration. So here we have a few things here. Here is an old camera. Here is the 2018. This is this new camera, and this is actually a modern photograph. So you can see how good of a camera this thing actually is. Missing a little bit of detail on fine up closeness, but still really good. So this is kind of dangerous in that where these things could be put in order to track and trace things down. Now, obviously expensive, but that's kind of frightening to think about. Now we have to worry about micro cameras. What about putting this thing on a little flying drone? Things like that. So anyway, moving on. So Amazon Alexa can now respond to running water and bleeping appliances. This is kind of interesting. So, of course, Alexa listens constantly to things that are going on. And now it has programmed in to be able to hear things like appliances beeping. So, your appliance beeps and your washing machine beeps like, ooh, and now Alexa, wherever you are, your clothes are done, Dave. And then you'll have to naturally respond with, hey, Alexa, order unicorn meat, confirm. And then what ends up happening, of course, you get a lot of unicorn meat, but your clothes are done. Like, I set timers. I mean, I need to go into laundromats these days and wash clothes in laundromats. And it's very easy. You look at the timer on the thing and you go, okay, let's set a timer so I can come back and check on it or check on it periodically. Of course, the other thing you can do is you can now refill your prescription drugs through Alexa. So you can be like, Alexa, I'm out of drugs. And Alexa will order you more drugs. I mean, it's supposed to come from the legitimate sources, but just wait till the hackers get along and, your guy will come rolling on by in the Benz, But yeah, so now Alexa can listen to more things. Of course, this is like, oh, it's good. It can hear if I've left my faucet on. No, this is a bad thing, okay? This is a really bad thing because now Alexa can listen to more things going on. Like it knows what time you're making your coffee in the morning and what time you're making dinner at night and all sorts of things, tying this all right on into your Amazon account. That's exciting. So, there's two feature stories here. Google is grabbing more health data. The first is they're adding some search results to make it easier to find the right doctor. Now, this lies with adding language availability to doctors' offices in Google search. So if you don't speak the native language for your area, maybe it should give you some courses for Rosetta Stone instead. But that being said, you can go in here and now search for language structures. Of course, this means if you're doing this from your Google account and you're logged in, Google is now tracking which languages you're preferring to use and things like that. And so there you have it. Dr. Ala Velkis, I guess this is the Google guy. Here's this and language assistance in Spanish. So those are new options. A doctor without wheelchair accessibility. What kind of okay, guys, if your doctor does not have wheelchair accessibility, he's probably operating out of a back shack in the alley corner there. But the next Google story is they are now making the Pixel Watch for a 2022 launch, renewing ambitions in wearable tech. Of course, this is particularly bad because Google has some connections already into things like health insurance companies through the health insurance companies that Alphabet is creating. They already own the Fitbit data, so they can already tie in data from that. And now you're getting in here and putting your you're adding more health data, biometrics, health data, just all sorts of things into the smartwatch. Of course, remember that Apple's smartwatch can now determine your mood. So what will Google do with it? Your weekly reminder to watch the Selfish Ledger to see that what Google's ultimate plan very well may be. And so they're just kind of talking in here about the Pixel Watch and what is going on with all of that. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have some affiliates. Today we are highlighting A2 Hosting. I've used this for hosting many clients' websites. And tlm.li/A2H. You can get some good hosting, basic hosting up to $2 a month to start, $6 a month to start for some faster stuff. Don't ever use managed WordPress hosting, but $9 a month if you want to anyway. You shouldn't, but there you have it. Managed VPS up to $29.99 to start. So pretty good prices. I've always liked their services and definitely have a look at them if you'd like to help support the channel. Now, guys, let's have a look at some security news. So first up in security, we have an update on the Ubiquity hack from January. There was that hack back in January, and it caused a little bit of a ruckus. Well, it turns out that it was probably an inside job. Federal charges have been levied against an employee, and this employee actually used his access to get in there and then basically pretended to be a hacker trying to get 50 Bitcoin. And then, of course, he was anonymously using emails. Well, after a federal investigation, it was kind of sent on back to him. And so that's really the current idea, is that this guy actually perpetrated it all himself. So yet another example of a case where even if the company has the best security in the world, their employees themselves can compromise you. So this is why we have to make sure that we are careful not to give any more data than we have to, because the companies themselves will have people working for them that may or may not be trustworthy. Google Play apps downloaded 30,000 times stole bank credentials. Now, this is an interesting one because, as I was talking before about, you need to be able to sideload applications. and and I was talking about sideloaded applications generally are not what's causing malware. Well, these guys are like, you know what? You're right. Let's fix that. So this particular new set of apps, what it would do is you would download it from the Google Play Store, and then it would tell you it needed an update, and it would go and retrieve its own malicious version of itself that was not in the Google Play Store, and it would sideload itself onto itself, and then it would install malicious software even though it passed through Google's radar. So once again, this is where Apple's argument may have a little bit of sense, but this is the first time I've seen real world applications of this happening. So just be aware, if some app wants to update itself by forcing you to allow the application to install new apps, then don't let it do that unless you're downloading something like the Aurora Store or F-Droid or something that's supposed to download apps. Okay, if it's some application trying to update itself and asking you to allow it to install apps, say no. That's what's going on here. And then, of course, it was just stealing bank credentials, boring, whatever. Ransomware attack on Planned Parenthood steals the data of 400,000 patients. This is Planned Parenthood of Los Angeles. Steals data for 8 days. So, nobody's really safe from the hackers. When it was the one conservative hosting group that gets hacked, and now it's Planned Parenthood in the middle of the Roe versus Wade debate in the Supreme Court going on right now. So very interesting. Just understand, nobody is safe from the crazy hackers. So there you have it, guys. Just be careful about the data. In this case, it was utilizing this particular service. And finally, hackers are brute force guessing payment card numbers, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Maybe the best thing you can have as few cards as possible and a good relationship with your bank. That's probably the best option. So as they explain in here, well, credit card numbers are 16-digit. Most of those digits are actually very predictable. Like the first 4 will tell you if it's a Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and it will, and I think the next 4 will tell you what bank, institution, or group it's under. And then there's really not a lot of unique numbers involved in any given card. And so it becomes easy for botnets to start brute forcing these to determine what the valid numbers happen to be. Of course, you still have to brute force the number with the address and the security code all at the same time, making it a little bit more difficult. But basically what they're able to do is grab some useful information that they have, including mailing addresses and things like this, and then they're going to probe a sequence of numbers against your mailing address to hopefully find a random match for stealing your credit card information. So basically, your credit cards don't even have to officially be stolen. Now computers are simply guessing on what those things happen to be. Well, that's exciting. So, well, you can help support the channel over on Patreon, patreon.com/TOMM. This will support all of the channels that I do. So thanks for coming along, guys, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.